Hello, and welcome to a brand new episode of Dylan Knows. This is your host, Dylan Lang, and I have no music today just because I don't feel like it. There's my pumpkins. I'm blocking them. Um, I just feel like going right into the show. This is my show, Dylan Knows. It is a show where I basically talk about everything that happened the past week, about everything, pop culture, science, holidays, food, sports, some politics. Sometimes I have little bits about like dreams I've had, or in this case, tonight's episode, we'll probably doing a little bit of ranting today. We had a lot of death this week. I mean, a lot of death. I mean, the most death I've seen in a while. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. At least 12 deaths I can talk about this week that happened. And basically just taking a look at some new stuff that's going on. One thing I will be doing is I'll be trying a new Mountain Dew flavor called Uproar, which is only available at Food Lion. Let's give it a try right now. Actually, it's a kiwi strawberry flavor. So let's see. It's okay. Definitely tastes like kiwi strawberry. Definitely tastes like Mountain Dew also. So, at least I got to try it. It's Uproar. It's one that, there's been a lot of ones that I want to try. I would try that Apple one, which I'm almost this close to just saying, what the hell with it. I'm going to buy a case of it just so I can try because I really, really want to try that one. That's okay. Something I can drink, but I don't know if I drink it all the time though. But yeah, it basically it tastes like Mountain Dew. So there you go. That's my review of that. So if you have Food Line near you, go ahead and try it if you want to. It's a new type of Mountain Dew, and again, it's only available there, so it makes you feel extra special too. So let's get in on it here real quick. Let me see. Back, I guess this was the 90s. Before the MCU happened, Thanos had died in the comics, and a writer by the name of Ron Mars, who had taken over the Silver Surfer comic book, along with a new artist, up and coming artist named Ron Lim, they were going to decide that they wanted to change up some stuff a little bit. And Ron Mars, who was always a fan of Thanos's and of Jim Starlin's, who created Thanos, decided, hey, we should bring him back and make him into an evil, terrible person. So Ron Mars brought him back. And then I think either Mars or Starlin came back on, and they're the ones that did the Infinity Gauntlet stuff, which led to the creation of the MCU. Now, Ron Mars and Ron Lim have re-signed on to the Silver Surfer starting in January with the new Silver Surfer comic coming out. For one, I'm actually very excited about it. And apparently one of the spoilers is that right now in the Captain Marvel comic with the female Captain Marvel, there's a collection of all the Captain Marvels working together to save the day. And supposedly the end game of that one is that the real Captain Marvel will be coming back to life. Not the real one, I should say. The male one, I should say, will be coming back to life and will be coming to back to the comic world. And that's what Ron is going to be writing on. So I've always been a fan of that and Ron Lim's artwork. So I'm intrigued to see that. So I might go ahead and check that out as well. Uncharted is a video game that has been trying to get made to a movie for a longest time, and fans of the game have been screaming for Nathan Fillion, I believe, to play the main character. That didn't happen. Instead, they went with Tom Holland, who is late known as SpiderMan. And Mark Wahlberg is also in the movie as well. And it started filming sometime, I guess, last year. And it is now finally finished and ready for, being shown in theaters. Won't be till next year, but they decided to show the first trailer from the footage that they got of Uncharted. So the first trailer is out and about. Yeah, looks like an entertaining action adventure sort of film. Comes out February 18th, 2022. So that'll be well worth checking out for the fans of the video game, and for Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg as well. Um, hmm, what was I going to write here? There it is. Okay, I'm sorry. Hayden Christensen. I'm sorry, it took me a second to figure out where I was. Hayden Christensen has been making the news lately when they announced that he was going to come back as Anakin Skywalker slash Darth Vader in the Obi-Wan series that is presently finished filming, I believe, and is now just being edited into the series, and special effects being added to it. Well, this week came news that everyone enjoyed Hayden's performance, apparently, because he has signed on to reprise the role again of Anakin slash Darth Vader in the new Ahsoka show, which is probably going to start filming with that casting being announced now. I would assume that that movie or TV show will be starting to get filmed soon after the Obi-Wan one gets finished editing. So look forward to that, to see him come back into the role and see what he can do with it. Apparently, he's doing a good job because he's been called back a second time. Image Comics, due to the paper shortage that is happening right now for comic books right now, Image Comics has said that they will no longer, temporarily, I guess, I'm sorry, just going to pause for a second, will not be doing second printings of their comics anymore, which is weird because they obviously, I guess, because of the paper issue, they're not going to be able to because it's paper shortage and they want to get the regular comics out in time. But second printings are a big deal in the comic world. It means that your book is hugely popular. It was either it was under ordered, and they want to try to get everybody they can to read the book. Now, if comic stores under order it, that's just because they don't know much about it. And if they're surprised by the fact that it's sold out very well, very quickly, expecting a second printing is an almost given, because apparently there'll be people who are asking for this book, say, sorry, we didn't order any enough and we don't have it. So then Image just would introduce, boom, that one as well. And they got it. So unfortunately, that will not be happening in the foreseeable future. Now, also, I just read something also that also might mean that they will not be doing new printings of any trade paperbacks, which is also kind of an unusual thing to do because, again, to get people to jump onto a series and catch up on it or whatever, you want to have these books out and about. And for comic stores, they don't want to make a prediction, say, okay, we think this book is going to do well, so let's order extra amount of those. Or if we don't order enough, well, at least we'll have the second printing. Well, now they can't say that. Now they have to start to look back and say, okay, what are we going to do? We don't normally order 10 of this book, or with a new book that's coming out with a creative team. Number one, they always order a huge amount anyway, so they can gauge an idea of what people want, and if it does sell out quickly, then they can adjust their orders from that on. But that means they will not be able to get any more of the first issue until a second printing comes out. But now it's not going to happen for the foreseeable future. So don't know what's going to happen with that. That's going to be a progressing story. So we'll follow up with that in a little bit, see if anything comes up out of that. At the same time, the comic industry as well, they are going to be, I said they're short. Last week I mentioned they were short the paper, and I just did the paper shortage story there. But they're also now saying that they are short bags and boards. So it's going to be harder for collectors to keep their books pristine with bags and boards. So again, this whole problem going on, who knows what's going to happen with that. So we shall see what's going on with that as well. Spooky face was spotted in outer space by the Hubble telescope, and it's probably some sort of supernova with some explosions or whatever that make it look like eyes coming out through there. And the funny thing just is that it looks like the Watcher from the What If TV series. So the memes are coming out now that Hubble has discovered this spooky face in outer space, and then a picture of the Watcher from What If. So I just found that was kind of funny. That's why I mentioned it. A Japanese cat who loves walking and being outdoors actually has his own custom made umbrella for him so that if it's raining, he can still go outside and walk around. Um, I like cats. I like adorable animal stories, and that's the cutest one as well. Um, so bingo on that. Today is also college football day. It's Saturday, the 23rd of October, and it's college football Saturday. And one of the most insane games of the week happened between Illinois and Penn State. The final score was 20-18 Illinois. But the weird thing was it took 9 overtimes, which is really unusual. Now, off the top of my head, I don't remember how much overtime in college is, but I do know that they start from, I guess, like the 20, and they try to either run it in or kick a field goal or whatever to win the game. And they can't end in ties, whereas in the NFL, the regular season, you can end in a tie in the regular season. Now, we get the playoffs, you can't because it's elimination tournament. So someone has to lose, they get eliminated, and the next team can move on. So you'll keep playing until someone wins. Whereas in the regular season, if you're tied at the end of regulation and you go to overtime and you tie at the end of overtime, that's it. You're done. It's a tie, and that's how it goes in the record books. And that also ends up, causing an issue for the standings in the playoffs as well. Which is weird though, because it's also considered as a win. Which I guess because they didn't technically lose. So I don't know. So sometimes it's better to get a tie, though you don't want to. The solo Hulk movie is in the works. Now, it took forever to get Black Widow to get her own movie. So of the Avengers, we have the Iron Man movies have come out, the Thor movies have come out, Captain America movies have come out. The Hawkeye TV show will be coming out 1 month from tomorrow. The Hawkeye TV show for that. Black Widow had her movie, and then there's the Hulk. The Hulk has not had his own standalone movie. He appeared in Thor Ragnarok. He will be a part of the She-Hulk TV show, but he will not be the main focus. Obviously, it's about She-Hulk. But apparently they decided that they want to do a Hulk standalone movie, so the talk of that is coming up as well. They found the remains of Brian LaDrew, the one who is accused of killing his girlfriend, Gabby Petito. They found his. They were able to discover him, or not discover. I'm trying to think of. They used dental records to prove his that it was who they say it was. Now the weird thing about that is, it was in an area that had been searched for weeks, and they never found it. And then this guy's parents just show up, say, "We're going to help out." They take a little walk off to the side about a second later and say, "Hey, look, we found it." Seems very hinky to me. Not sure exactly what's going on with that. That is a continuing story as well. Now, I didn't mention it when at the beginning of the show, but I did. No, I did mention at the beginning of the show because I counted them. There were 12 deaths this week. Some big ones and some small ones. So I'm just going to run through those real quick. The first one, and the way it goes is the ones goes from most recent to the latest one, because this goes from the week. This goes Sunday to Saturday is how my show usually goes. So the biggest one recently is actor Peter Scolari, who starred in the TV show Bosom Buddies with a young Tom Hanks. Also popped up in the TV show Newhart, Girls, and was presently in the TV show Evil. Was also in a cameo role in Tom Hanks's directorial debut of That Thing You Do, which is an absolutely outstanding movie. If you have not seen it, Peter Scolari was a wonderful actor, good guy in general, and he will be missed. Dutch conductor Bernard Haite, dead at 92 this week. Ralph Carmichael, a composer who composed music for the old school movies of The Blob and the TV show My Mother the Car. He passed away this week at 92 as well. Boom. Leslie Briscus, he was the songwriter for such movies as Willy Wonka and Dr. Dolittle and Goldfinger. He wrote, most famously, some of his famous stuff is Pure Imagination and Talk to the Animals. He died at the age of 90 this week. A female college lacrosse player, dies at the age of 20 from Tufts University, or Tufts College, after choking on a hot dog during a hot dog eating contest. Her name was Maddie Nickpon. So that's always sad when someone dies from an accident like that. Chris Ayers, an artist. I didn't quite look like he was a manga artist of some kind, or a American manga artist of some time. Passed away this week as well. Daniel Negron Sr., who was a illustrator, movie illustrator, and storyboard artist, died at the age of 85 this week. Jack Angel, a fairly famous voiceover actor, passed away this week. You've probably heard his voice a million times and would never know it. The only I didn't do my research as I usually don't, but the only one I could think of off the top of my head was Zarkon from the original Voltron series. But Jack Angel was one of those. I think he did maybe the voice of Superman in the Super Friends and Justice League cartoons of the 70s and 80s. He's a fairly big and famous voiceover actor. He passed away this week. Toshihishu Lejima, director of Ultraman, died this week as well. Betty Lynn, an actress who played Barney Fife's love Thelma Lou on Andy Griffith, died this week as well. Told you there's a lot of them. That's the most recent one. Colin Powell was the big one that began this week. His death, died at the age of 84 of COVID symptoms. Now, he was vaccinated, but he was suffering from another sickness that COVID helped, make even worse for him as well. He was the first Black Secretary of State, also a starred general, a 4-star general, I believe, for the military as well. The one thing I remember about Colin Powell is when my cousin graduated from the Naval Academy, and I was allowed to go to his graduation. I believe Colin Powell actually did the graduation speech that presidents usually do. The president goes to all 4 of the branches of military to their graduation. So it wasn't the president's turn at the Naval Academy that time. So in this case, they brought Colin Powell in, and he was off doing the Army or Air Force or something like that. So that's, and then more recently, because I did this one, my last one, Jay Black of Jay and the Americans, which is a old band, I guess, from the 60s, 70s, dead at the age of 82, wrote a song called Come a Little Bit Closer. Come a Little Bit Closer, yeah. So that's the main song he was known as well. Let's see if I can find the story, because a huge story came out this week. I guess it would be on the next page. Yes, there it is right here. So this could be potentially be included into the death thing, because it does include the death of a person. Director of photography and cinematographer Hayden Halua. I'm sorry, my handwriting is terrible. She was an up-and-coming cinematographer in the world of movies, and is one of only 5 female directors of photography. Was killed accidentally when a prop gun handled by actor Alec Baldwin went off, and live bullets or live round was in there, killed her instantly, and injured the director critically. It was a terrible accident with some remembrances of Brandon Lee's death from The Crow. So it was another awful little story to end this week as well. That's an ongoing investigation. It was accidental, so it wasn't like, someone was trying to deliberately kill her, but it sucks when accidents happen on movie sets. And it's like the 3rd time that I know of that someone's actually died on the movie set as well. Now, that's what the union of the IATSE was getting ready to strike about till last week, right before I went on air. They came to an agreement. However, I'm going to find that story. However, it is very possible that there are people who are very unhappy, parts of the union, who are very unhappy with the deal that the IATSE was able to get. So there could be a chance that they might not vote to agree with the outcome of the vote. As of now, they're still come to an agreement. They still have a contract, but right now there could be another layer to the story, and that's the type of thing that that union covers when it comes to things like these on-set accidents as well. It was a total foobar on everybody's place. And in the end, it's something that an investigation will be ongoing, and we'll find out more about that down the line, since it just really happened as recent as Friday, I believe, yesterday or Thursday or something like that. Speaking of film, a lost film that was thought to be destroyed by the Nazis in Germany has been discovered. And while it is getting cleaned up and taken care of, it will be premiering as soon as they are able to get it all cleaned up and set that up and cleaned up as well. So good on that. That'd be really cool to see that and see what it is and the reason why it was something that the Nazis wanted to destroy. A rediscovered medieval manuscript offers a new twist on the Arthurian legend surrounding Merlin. This was written in the 1200s as part of the story about Sir Lancelot's exploration for the Holy Grail. And for whatever reason, the story disappeared and ended up in another country somewhere far away, where booksellers are using it as a binding tool to bind these old books. And so I guess eventually, since the old books are still around, someone was looking through the books and happened to accidentally discover this new manuscript about Merlin and stuff like that. So it's kind of intriguing and kind of interesting about that. Similar story I talked about last week, where a painting was discovered, that there was a painting within a painting that someone had painted over until they restored it and discovered, oh God, there is a painting under here that they did not realize. So it was kind of neat that sort of story happened as well. The Nightmare on Elm Street house is for sale. The house where the movie, I guess, used the exteriors for. I don't think it was one that was actually filmed. I don't think they filmed inside. I think they probably used a set, but they used the exterior of the house, multiple things. It is now for sale, but it is not cheap. So sorry. Coming up in November, a new movie starring The Rock, Ryan Reynolds, and Gal Gadot called Red Notice will be coming out in mid-November on Netflix. It will have about a week in movie theaters to see if it can generate any money, but it's kind of a big deal with that kind of star power. It's an action film. They had a trailer come out about a month or so ago. The second trailer came out this week as well. As of now, it's season after midnight. Not yet, but Halloween is 8 days away as of now. But that's not the only exciting thing happening next weekend. On the 30th, 1 week from tonight, go outside if you can, somewhere where the sky is dark, and look, I guess they had it that way, more to the westish, eastish, west area. I'll have to verify for sure. I'm sure you're going to see plenty of stuff leading up to this event. But on October 30th, one of the neighboring galaxies to the Milky Way, the Andromeda Galaxy, will be visible for the first time using your naked eye and not a telescope. You'll be able to look outside and see the Andromeda Galaxy. Now, again, as I said, they'll have the story up. I don't quite remember exactly where to look for it. I got to dig it up because I want to find this badly. And hopefully, as of now, what do we got? It looks like it's going to be cloudy, so I might not be able to shop. But as of now, about 7 days out, 40% chance of rain in our area on that day, 57 degrees. So it's very possible that we might not see it, which would be a shame because it's never been seen before. So we'll be going on with that as well. Okay. What's up next? Halloween is next week. Hold on. I was going to say Christmas, actually. Christmas. And when people talk about Christmas, one of the things that people think about is the movie Home Alone, which is one of my favorite Christmas movies I like to watch all the time. By the way, a very well directed film, despite the fact that it's a very unrealistic sort of storyline. But if you look at the way Chris Columbus directed it, it actually is, fairly outstanding. The way he uses music, light, camera angles, way he sets up shots. I've gone through this discourse on other episodes of my show, and I'll probably talk about it again once we get closer to Christmas. But Lego is continually trying to find new Lego sets that could get people excited about Legos again. Now we've had a lot of pop culture ones recently. We had a Friends one, and they also, I guess, are gearing more towards, I guess they can say, grown-ups also do it as well, and do the Legos as well. So in this case, they are doing the Home Alone house as a new Lego set you can get now, with working lights, I believe, and it's a pretty big set from what I saw. You're building the entire house, including all the rooms on the inside, and probably will have some of the traps set up that Kevin did in the movie as well. So it's fairly impressive. It's making the rounds lately, so that's pretty good out there. The world's oldest star map was loaned to a British museum. It's a 1546 star map, and it's being, I guess, loaned for display elsewheres. Did you know that Ronald McDonald headlines a Black Sabbath cover band? I did not know either until I saw something go through my feed on my social media and had pictures of Ron McDonald and Grimace and Hamburglar all singing Black Sabbath songs. And no, they weren't changing them to be McDonald style things, songs, but it was the actual songs from Black Sabbath that they were singing. So always interesting to hear stuff about that. Getting back to comics, this week, actually, the 21st of October was the 80th anniversary of Wonder Woman. Her first appearance was October 21st, 1941. DC Comics last week, or 2 weeks ago, I think it was last week, released as they have been for all the other comics heroes, like the Captain, or rather, like the Supermans and the Batmans and the Green Lanterns and the Aquaman, all those who've had these anniversaries lately. They've released a 80-page, $10 comic with a bunch of short stories that span the whole history. Brand new ones, by the way, but it can be taking place anytime in the history of the comic hero. And they released the Wonder Woman one last week, I believe it was last week. So that is out and about. So happy anniversary to Wonder Woman there. Joe Hill, who is the son of Stephen King and is a pretty good writer on his own in his own way. He has a story called Rain that is going to be adapted as part of Chris Ryles and I can't see who his partner is. Woods, Woods. And I guess I forget which Wood it is. But they were late of IDW, which was one of my old accounts when I was at Diamond, but they've moved on and created their own publishing imprint through Image called Syzygy Publishing, and Joe Hill's Reign will be the first comic that they will be producing for Syzygy Publishing. So congratulations to Chris, and I think it's Ashley Wood, actually, because I think Ashley was a big member of IDW at the time as well. Scientists have declared that if the asteroid that destroyed the dinosaurs was just 30 seconds late, 30 seconds late, they might not have died. And they might be now the prominent species on Earth. I don't know if that's true. Again, it sounds like a hypothetical to me, but obviously scientists might have access to more things that they could make this determination. So meaning, I guess, since the Earth is constantly moving and spinning around, that it was just moving, the asteroid's coming and it just moved slightly to the past, it would have gone right past it. So who knows what could have happened there. Uma Thurman has been cast to play Ariana Huffington in a series on Showtime called Super Pumped. So do with that what you will. Anthony Michael Hall, who is most recently in the Halloween Kills movie that just came out last week, has been doing the press lately, and he revealed that he had discussions with John Hughes before he passed away about a potential Breakfast Club sequel that John Hughes had in his mind that he wanted to make eventually. Obviously, he was not able to due to his untimely death. But the fact that there was potentially a Breakfast Club sequel, I think the general idea was, one that everybody thinks about is what this people would look like 30 years after the event or something like that. Would they be the same? And I think they said somewhere along the lines that the characters would all be like the exact opposite of who they were in Breakfast Club, that sort of thing, meaning that Anthony Michael Hall probably wouldn't have been the nerdy, geeky type. He'd probably be some sort of studly, tough guy, and maybe Molly Ringwald would be maybe a spinster wife instead, or cat lady instead of the princess or whatever. Emilio Estevez wouldn't be the athlete. He'd be some dude who probably works in an office or something like that. Judd Nelson wouldn't be the rebel. He'd be like a straight shooter, maybe police officer type, that type of thing. And then Ali Sheedy's weirdo would probably be, one of the most successful women business people in the world. There you go. There's your sequel. So there you go. Whatever. Baltimore Comic Con has been ongoing all weekend, starting Friday, and today is obviously the big day. You got one more day, so people in the Delmarva, if you want, even up to somewhat into Pennsylvania, if you want to head on down to do something, or if, in that case also, you're heading to the Baltimore Ravens game against the Bengals tomorrow at M&T Bank Stadium. You can also stop by the Comic Book Comic Con. It is at the Baltimore Convention Center, which is literally right next door to Camden Yards and the bank. So you can either head down early before you go to the game, or you can go to the game, and then after the game head on over and hit the Comic Con if you want, or you can just ignore the game completely and just head down to the Comic Con as well. I'm expecting probably a lower amount of people than they had probably today. I'll get more info about the con next week, because the guy who runs the con and created it is the guy who runs my local comic shop, is literally 5 minutes up the road from here, and knows me pretty well. So I'll probably chit chat with them when I get my comics next week. So we'll see about that. I haven't had a chance to get down there because I have a lot going on. My wife and kids are presently camping for Scouts, so I have the house myself, but I told them I'd get the house ready for Halloween, and that took a little time because I slept in, and then I played some Fortnite, and then I rushed around and did what I needed to do, and I got it all done, and I had to do this stupid show. So it's not stupid, I know. I'm just messing with you. Speaking of Fortnite, Fortnitemares, the Halloween event that has been pretty much ongoing all month, but is now finally geared up with the update they had this past Tuesday. The Fortnite storyline is progressing, new points of interest. The witches' brooms are back in the game, candies. You got zombies popping up out of nowhere, attacking you when you least expect it, which literally still scares the hell out of me every time it happens. You have some the pumpkin launchers back. You got some new tasks you have to do so you can level up quicker. And we still have one more update, which will be coming on Tuesday. They released the new Ariana Grande skin, and they also released the Universal Monsters Mummy skin yesterday. So, and they surprised everybody by today releasing skins based on Resident Evil. So they're really ramping stuff up right now. They even did a Dune release to cover Dune back on Wednesday, Thursday-ish. So if you haven't played Fortnite in a while, it has become a lot different than when it first came out. The crossovers now seem to be the more bigger thing for them. They said they've got as of now, they still have a big DC one coming out on Tuesday with the Batman Who Laughs character from the Death Metal storyline, and a new Batman Fortnite comic should be coming out on Tuesday. Though when I looked on DC's coming this week list, it did not show up on the list that's coming out this week, and I'm wondering if the paper shortage that I talked about earlier in the show is going to have some problems with that. Now, to be fair, also, there have been other comics that I've been interested in that have not showed up on the DC Comics coming this week list that have showed up. So I'm not worried about it right now. If I go in on Tuesday when DC Comics show up and it's not there, then I'm going to be a little worried because you can get it for free, the skin for free if you buy the comics. So you actually are buying it for less than you would have to if you got the V-Bucks to pay for it. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But yeah, it's Fortnite has begun. The Halloween event in Pokemon Go is still ongoing as well. We're in the second week of that. The Halloween event was the first one that Pokemon Go ever did for the game when it first came out 5 years ago, and it is the huge, most popular one as well. So it lasts 2 weeks. This week they divided into 2 separate weeks, and this week they've released new Halloween-themed Pokemon that are out and about and stuff like that. And we also got news that November's Community Day is going to be Shanks the Electro Cat. So you really could only get Shanks for the most part in raids. Now he will be out and about in the wild just for his Community Day. It doesn't happen until November 21st, so you got a little bit of time before that happens as well. I should have added this when I was talking about the Andromeda Galaxy, but astronomers have also discovered a star that has been turning on and off, on and off, on and off, on and off. And they're still trying to figure out how that's happening, why that's happening. So they're checking that out as well. I guess I announced this when it was first announced a while back, but it still seems rather odd to me, even though it shouldn't, that there is a live action Barbie movie on the way with the glorious Margot Robbie. It makes me feel kind of funny. She's going to be playing Barbie. Well, she has her Ken now being played by Ryan Gosling. Yeah. Ryan Gosling as Ken, opposite our Margot Robbie Barbie in the live action Barbie movie. So we'll see. I don't know. Harry Styles will be playing Starfire in the Eternals movie. That was a big secret. Nobody knew that he was going to be even in the Eternals movie because he did not show up in any of the trailers or stories like that. But the premiere of Eternals was this week, and the first people seeing it said, "Oh wait, look, it's Harry Styles! It's Harry Styles! Look, look, look!" So he is apparently playing Star Fox, which is one of the, I wouldn't say worst characters, but he's kind of a iffy character at that. But he's actually also Thanos' brother, but that's besides the point. Anywho, moving on. Speaking of that stuff, Good Omens, which is based on the Terry Pratchett, Neil Gaiman book about an angel and a demon who are hanging out on Earth and enjoying the Earth, are told that they have to bring forth Armageddon and the end of the world, and they don't want to because they are enjoying themselves on Earth. Now, it became a hugely popular miniseries starring David Tennant and Michael Shannon, and it became so popular that BBC wanted to get a sequel. The problem was that there is no sequel to the novel that's out. Neil Gaiman, still alive. Terry Pratchett, unfortunately, is not. When Neil Gaiman was approached to say, "Hey, you need to write a Good Omens sequel," he's like, "Haha, way ahead of you. He and Terry Pratchett had discussions about writing a sequel before Pratchett died. And so they had a layout and an idea of what they were going to write about. Just a matter, they just had to flesh out the stuff and turn it into a novel. But they had the ideas now. So Gaiman went to that and was able to create a second season of Good Omens. I'm bringing this up because the second season of Good Omens has started filming. So that is a thing. It is not something that is hypothetical. It is a thing. Now, Halloween, as I said, is right around the corner. And Sergeant Rocco, who is in the chat right now, so I'm not paying much attention to chat, but I don't really pay much attention to chat, unfortunately. But I'm glad you're chatting, and thank you for watching. Said, come on, Dylan, sing 8 more days till Halloween, Silver Shamrock for us. You know you want to. No, I'll pass on that. But I would like to say that I did decorate the house for Halloween today in advance of my family coming back. So I was going to surprise them when they come back. I was able to buy some candy corn, which despite the haters out there, I actually enjoy candy corn. But I don't know if I would enjoy it as much in bratwurst. There is a bratwurst available in Wisconsin, which has candy corn mixed in with it. Now, on the surface, that seems disgusting. But you have to remember, sausages have different flavors for the most part. You've got the spicier ones, you've got the regular plain ones, you got the sweet ones. This just adds a little extra sweetness to it, and also the real bizarre orange and white yellow color in there as well, but that's besides the point. Regardless, candy corn bratwurst is a thing, and I probably should have named my episode Candy Corn Bratwurst. I did not. I named it Old Man Yells at Clouds because I'm going to be going on a rant as soon as I finish this page of work. Now, speaking of old men, this surprised the hell out of me when I saw the storyline, or not storyline, but the story that came up this week. Mel Brooks, who is in his 90s, and still going strong. He's got his autobiography coming out at the end of November. I've already got it pre-ordered. As soon as I get it, I'm going to read that sucker in 3 days. I'm dying to read his autobiography, see what's going about that. But until then, we have to deal with this new news that just came out. One of the movies that Mel Brooks wrote, starred in, and directed was a movie called History of the World Part 1, which basically was Mel Brooks going through little sketches here and there with his various regular cohorts he usually works with, making these like silly little sketches and put them together as if it was a history of the world sort of stuff. So you get like stuff about gladiators, and you got stuff about the Indians, and you got stuff about World War II and stuff like that. And you've got all that stuff in there. But it was called History of the World Part 1. So people kept saying, when's Part 2 coming? When's Part 2 coming? When's Part 2 coming? Guess what, people? At first, I thought Part 2 was never going to come, much like how Spaceballs 2, The Search for More Money, was never going to come. And it still isn't. But maybe the success of what I'm about to tell you will change their mind. But History of the World Part 2 is coming. Mel Brooks has decided that he wants to try something different. Instead of making a movie version of it, he is doing the next big thing, because nowadays it's all about streaming and limited series and stuff like that. Because, with a lot of these, like, as I said, Uma Thurman's going to be in a limited series on Showtime as Ariana Huffington. Uma Thurman's a huge time star. You never think she would be in a TV series. Michael Keaton is presently acting in a TV series about the drugs situation that's going on right now. So stars are taking a look at this limited series, like, okay, it'll just be 6 episodes, 8 episodes, whatever. I'll get paid. It's like making an 8-hour movie. I'll just get paid for that. And it's just going to be divided into TV shows, and I'll be able to do whatever I want to because it's through streaming. So you can, they're not going to really be edited down or whatever. So Mel Brooks has decided what he's going to do instead is going to do a 8-episode, what he calls variety series for Hulu, called History of the World Part 2, which I would assume every episode will be another bit of world history, and probably lead you from where the first movie ended up to the next level up when it comes to history. So I'm dying to see that. Wanda Sykes is on his writing team as well, which is going to add an extra incentive to check it out. And of course, Mel Brooks is going to be writing and directing it as well. So it should be a lot of fun, and maybe might even pop up in a role again. Who knows? You never know with him. So that would be very, very cool. I can't wait to see that roll through here as well. Disney, however, has shifted a number of MCU movie dates. They claim right now, due to production issues on some of the movies, due to COVID and other stuff as well, that, because the MCU is so tightly knit together that you really can't, something that happens in this movie is going to have repercussions in this movie. But if this movie's having trouble being made and this one's already made, you're not going to release this one early and not release this one before it. So this one will have to be pushed back, and this one be moved to that slot, stuff like that. So they did something similar with that. So unfortunately, Marvel has now dropped a movie from next year's slate and moved it to 2023. So here's the new schedule here. Doctor Strange 2, which was due to come out in March, is now going to take over the first weekend in May slot that the MCU movies have taken control of practically since Iron Man took over. That makes that May 6th, 2022. So that's when Doctor Strange 2 is going to come out, which is kind of sucks because it's going to be the sequel, a kind of a sequel to SpiderMan Far From Home, or whatever the new one's called. No Way Home, I'm sorry. Because Doctor Strange is in that one as well, but we'll see the payoff on May 6th now instead of March. So now, Spider-Man comes out in December. So now we have January, February, March, April, May. We have 5 months before we find out what's going to happen. If that was going to be a pain in the ass. But hopefully by then, one of this series will be out. Miss Marvel or something like that will come out. We'll be able to cover that. So Thor, Love and War was originally going to be in that slot, I believe. So they moved that to July 8th, 2022. Black Panther 2, actually I think was the one supposed to be in the May slot, but I don't know. Black Panther 2 has now been shifted to November 11th, 2022. I think they're the main one that's been having some production issues for whatever reason. That in turn kicks out Captain Marvel 2, which now is set to debut February 17th, 2023. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was always going to take over the May slot in 2023. That has not been moved, and James Gunn has said we're not moving. So expect to see Guardians of the Galaxy 3 stay where they are in May of 2023. They have to for the most part because their Christmas special comes out Christmas 2022. So they've actually, and I was only talking about Guardians of the Galaxy 3, they have started filming it right now. So it is presently being filmed at this moment. And that then pushes Ant-Man 3 to July 18th, 2023. Now, that's not the only, MCU is not the only movie production that Disney's in charge of that's been moved. Indiana Jones 5, which was supposed to come out, I guess, next summer. That's right. We've been June of 2022, has now been shifted a full year to June 30th, 2023. That movie is presently being filmed, and I talked about that last week. It is believed to be a time travel story, so we will see how that all works out in the end. So, fun time. All right, what else we got? But Disney Plus does have, Spider-Man is still set to come out when it's supposed to. Eternal is still set to come out when it's supposed to. And in the non-MCU world, Diary of a Wimpy Kid, which is one of the most popular book series for kids, particularly my son loves the books. They have made a computer animated movie of Diary of a Wimpy Kid, which will be released on Disney Plus December 3rd. First trailer for that came out this week as well. Also from Disney Plus, Danny DeVito has joined the cast of the new update, reboot, remake, whatever, of the Haunted Mansion. So he has joined Owen Wilson and a bunch of other actors as well to be in the Haunted Mansion. We did that one as well. When I saw this story, I had to take a second to go, what in the absolute hell are you talking about? And then when I read the story a little bit deeper, I discovered, oh, okay, it makes sense. I will explain, but let me read you what the headline was for this story to make you go, what? And then I'll explain to you why it's going to work. Jamie Lee Curtis, again, late of the Halloween Kills movies that are presently out, has been making the rounds as well, talking up the film and talking about her future projects. She's got the Halloween Ends movie coming out next year, but she has announced that her and Ryan Murphy, they are reteaming together. They did the Scream Queens TV show for Fox a while back, but they're reteaming now for a Netflix limited series about the first high five. Yes, a full TV series about the creation of the high five. So I read that headline. It's like, what in the absolute hell? How are you going to be able to expand the creation of a simple hand gesture into a series? You make that as the endpoint, because the guy who created it or is believed to be the one that created it on October 2nd, 1977. And he was a baseball player. Do I have his name? I don't have his name right now. But he was a baseball player who happened to be a closeted gay man. And I guess he hit the game-winning home run in the playoffs or something like that. And as he's rounding the bases, or made a great catch, something like that, he high-fived player and now manager Dusty Baker that way. It's never been done before. So it's not really about the creation of the high five, because that's just a small bit of it. It's going to be about a story about a closeted gay baseball player based on a true story. So now it makes a little bit more sense. But, I bet you didn't know, because I didn't know that a baseball player had created the high five, and that it was only created as of recently as of 1977. I was 4 years old. So I didn't know. But then, again, should be an interesting movie or TV show. It's on Netflix, so that'd be fun. Thought it'd be on, I don't know, like FX or something. Let's see. What should we talk about here? The first pictures of Helen Mirren and Lucy Liu's villains in the new Shazam movie have popped up online. So, excuse me, that's good. Ready Whip, the makers of whipped cream that you put on top of your hot chocolate and on pies and on other things as well, has created a Swiss Miss flavored whipped cream, which tastes like Swiss Miss hot chocolate, obviously, just in time for winter hot chocolate season. So that is now available. Well, not available, it will be available soon this holiday season. Apparently, this came out about a year or so ago, and I never saw it. I read the article, and there was nothing saying that it was not going to be out in regular stores, or maybe I missed, or maybe I had, and I don't remember. It's been a couple of years, I think. But I just decided to bring it back up and see if I could find any trace of it, or if any of you people out there have seen it. Dark Berry Dr. Pepper was a thing at one time. And when I wrote this down, I thought it was a more recent thing that was coming out sooner than later, because I honestly didn't remember a Dark Berry Dr. Pepper coming out. But then I clicked on the article, and it was from 2019. So I just don't remember it. The Balloon World Cup is an actual thing, and it looks absolutely insane. The video that I saw, the Balloon World Cup, had 2 teams of 2 in this area that had sofas and bookshelves and a car and bicycles and trees and all kinds of props filled on the stage, and they had to keep the balloon afloat. So it was a balloon. They was getting knocked around, boom, 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 and so I guess whichever team touched it last and fell down, who either touched it last or whoever missed it, they would get the loss, and the winners would be the ones that were the last ones to keep the balloon. I'm not sure, but it was really weird to see that kind of thing. This isn't that odd because there are other stories about animals being able to paint. Well, raccoon is now the latest animal that has been taught how to paint, and his paintings have been selling for a good amount, as have, say, the ones that monkeys and dogs and cats and other animals have done. Rabbits, I've heard stories about that, all doing that type of stuff. So, pretty cool. Principal keeps her job despite a petition to have her fired because she liked Iron Maiden. So a school board or a neighborhood or whatever was trying to get a school principal fired because she liked Iron Maiden. Got to be Midwest somewhere. Got to be in the Midwest somewhere. Oh, mercy. How about this? You think you had a bad day? There's a guy in Windsor who had a plane drop sewage on him while he was in the garden in Windsor, England. Yes, so literally guys in his garden, not doing anything, gardening, keeping his garden beautiful, something that he probably loves to do, does it every day, pride and joy, whatever. He's working out there, all of a sudden drenched in piss, shit, blood, chemicals, whatever. Toilet paper, for that matter, I guess. They dropped sewage on this poor guy. Now, this isn't the first time something like that's happened in England. I think there was a story that Dave Matthews Band back in the 90s, I guess, was in England, and they dumped their chemical toilet from their bus into a double-decker bus in England. I remember that. But that just seems a terribly awful, awful thing to happen to somebody. If you want to see some other fucked up stuff like that, this week was the 20th anniversary of the movie Mulholland Drive. Now, don't get me wrong, Mulholland Drive is an absolutely phenomenal movie. David Lynch is one of my heroes. I love his directing style, but sometimes he can be so infuriating because he does not have any real closure and he does weird stuff. But with his films, but it's outstanding, and I keep coming back for more because it's hard to explain. I'm the type of person who likes to have, a linear plot that makes sense, that comes to a logical ending. Even if it's a cliffhanger ending, I'm okay with that as well. But I kind of like that. When people go off book and do weird and crazy weird stuff, it sometimes annoys me. But for whatever reason, David Lynch doesn't. His movies, his later movies, have been insane. The whole of Twin Peaks: The Return was absolutely a phenomenal series, but in the end, it's sort of like not what I was expecting. Lost Highway, which I really, really like a lot. A lot. But it doesn't make a lot of damn sense. And then Mulholland Drive, which everybody seemed to like, again, doesn't make a lick of sense in a lot of stuff. And that's okay. In this point, for whatever reason, those movies not making sense makes sense to me. You know what I'm talking about? So Mulholland Drive is one of those really kind of out there, weird sort of ones. But still pretty good, actually. I still personally, I know everybody likes Mulholland Drive better, was nominated for a ton of Oscars, stuff like that. I like Lost Highway better just because I thought Lost Highway was a lot more insane, as it were. Mulholland Drive, in essence of itself, was a love story between two women, for the most part. Lost Highway was just an insane film about obsession and just bizarre, creepy, stalkery stuff. So that's how we're going to go with that. But the 20th anniversary of Mulholland Drive is this week. So I did not see it when it came to the theaters. I think my family was out. I guess it was about maybe 10 years ago. I guess was the first time I saw it. It had been out for a while before I seen it for the first time. And I decided to put it on to see what it was because it's a hard R for a good reason. There's a graphic sex scene between the two women, two very attractive women, I should say, but that's besides the point. And just some outrageously bizarre stuff that I don't think my wife would like or understand. I'm obviously not going to show my kids either. So moving on. Will Poulter was cast as Adam Warlock, and as I said, Guardians of the Galaxy 3 has started filming. He has been cast as Adam Warlock, which is a character that's been teased since the second movie, is a member of the Guardians of the Galaxy in the comics at one point or another, and is one of the outer space heroes that the MCU, Guardians of the Galaxy ending after their third movie, well, James Gunn's run, I should say, as it is, they're going to need some new outer space heroes, and Adam Warlock might be a good potential one to have his own series, or at least team up with Nova, which would be another good one to do as well. And Silver Surfer obviously would be another good one to do as well. So we'll check that out. But he has been cast. Now, Will Poulter, I don't remember who he played, but he was in The Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe. So let me just Google this real quick. Will Poulter. Used to scrub in the Avengers of the Crown Scenario, The Voyage of the Dawn. He wasn't in the original one. I thought he was in the original one. He was. No, he was in the Voyage of the Dawn Treader. Used to scrub. Okay. He wasn't one of the Pensees. Okay, I thought he was. Okay. Never you mind. So, but a lot of people, he was in the Maze Runner movies as well, so a lot of people are excited for this casting, so that's pretty good. I'll go like that. Gunn is pretty good about that. Believe it or not, this seems like an intriguing idea. I knew they were making this one. I knew there were some people who were screaming when they announced the cast about this, but the first trailer for this movie's come out, and obviously doesn't show a lot, but it gives you a good feel to it. And then to find out that it's written and directed by Aaron Sorkin adds an extra little whoa to it. Being the Ricardos, the trailer has come out starring Nicole Kidman, fellow June 20th birthday alumnus, as Lucille Ball, and Javier Bardem as Ricky Ricardo. It premieres on Amazon Prime Video December 21st. So I have Prime Video. I'm going to check it out. I enjoyed the trailer. I'm not a big Lucy Ricky fan, but I enjoyed the trailer enough. And then when I heard the magic words of Aaron Sorkin, I was like, ooh, I may have to check this out on my own. So there we go. Facebook, after all the shit I talked about last week about them, has decided we're going to rebrand ourselves this week. So we'll probably be talking about this on next week's episode of Dylan Knows, but Facebook will be rebranding itself and changing its name. We will see how that plays out. And maybe at this time next week, we will have a new Facebook name. A museum dedicated to horror and science fiction has opened in Hollywood. So hooray for that. Castle Rock Entertainment, which Rob Reiner created and is named after the Stephen King's location, stuff like that. It was, big for Rob Reiner and a bunch of other things as well. Then it went bankrupt for a while. Well, it's coming back now due to a $175 million film fund. It's helping them reboot Castle Rock. So what I'm assuming they're going to try to do is they're going to try to become popular again by producing a bunch of films that they potentially hope will be big hits, including probably some of Rob Reiner's films as well, maybe some Stephen King ones down the line as well. Now, Rob Reiner really hasn't done that much recently, directing wise, but we'll check it out. Some archaeology before I go on my little, oh, necessarily a little bit down here, I didn't see. A diver finds 900-year-old Crusader sword off of the Israel coast. Villager, I'm sorry, Vikings, excuse me. Vikings were in North America as early as 1021. Now, we pretty much kind of knew that, and it didn't mean they were in the United States. They were mostly up in the northern areas that soon to become Canada. But they were in America, and there's always been talk that they had been in America before everybody else. Well, obviously, besides not the Native Americans have been there forever. But they arrived in 1021, and that's why there are lots of Viking settlements. Well, for now, scientists have determined that that is actually a true story due to some stuff that they discovered. Again, I'm not a scientist, so I can't explain why or what that proof is, but hey, they did it. There's a movie that is coming out soon in Japan that is such a great premise. And I always like these type of premises. Marvel, the comics, did it with their comic Damage Control, and I was hoping that they would kind of do maybe a series. I actually, me and my friend MJ Khan, who used to do comic book talk here on Dylan Knows, we used to have a ongoing story where we would talk about the creation of our Damage Control TV show that we did. So but the fact is that this isn't Damage Control, but it's a neat idea to have a group of people to see what happens after a superhero attack or battle or something like a supervillain attack or superhero battle, what happens afterwards. Like, ever wonder what would happen after the Avengers? And we saw a little bit of that in Spider-Man Homecoming, but after the Avengers battle in New York in the Avengers, what happened once they won and they went away? They had to clean up that whole area. So they had to rebuild buildings. They had to tear down buildings. They had to pull out the injured and the dead, and they had to take care of all that stuff. They had to get rid of all the alien bodies, and they did cover that a little bit slightly in Spider-Man Homecoming. But they didn't go into much more detail than that. As I said, MJ and Khan and I had a great idea for a Damage Control TV series. Disney Plus, if you're listening, hey, let us know. We might be able to hook up there. But the reason I'm bringing all this up is because Japan is releasing a movie very soon about the untold tales of cleaning up after dead kaijus, which are the giant monsters that have died or after their kaiju attacks. They're actually releasing a movie about what happens after that. They made, I think it was a Korean movie. Could have been Japanese. I don't remember, though. I know that sounds racist, but I honestly can't remember. But there was a similar sort of thing about a cleanup crew that cleans up murder scenes, and those are kind of interesting as well to see too. Okay. Oh, DC Metro, the DC Metro is pulling about half of its metro trains due to a safety issue, which is going to cause a lot of problems for those who take the metro into DC and out and around as well. Mel Gibson joins the John Wick's prequel for stars. A lot of people aren't happy about that with a lot of the stuff that Mel Gibson has said and his various bouts with police and stuff like that. But there is a prequel of John Wick, and he has signed on to be on the show. A U.S. spy plane has footage of a rubber duck-shaped UFO flying over 200 miles per hour. Now, it's shaped like a rubber duck, but it doesn't mean it looked like a rubber duck. So the military says that they have, or a U.S. spy plane has footage of that. Kind of recently, I think it happened recently. So I think that's an interesting way of looking at stuff. I found this in the grocery store, and I guess in the end it makes sense. I've never had it happen to me before, but there are tropical flavored condoms. Now, for me, condoms will just tear them open, put them on, boom. Now, I know in porn, and there could be some possible, actual relationship stuff like that. Your partner puts the condom in their mouth and then puts it on that way. Or you could say that they were doing that and they get the tropical flavor one, but I don't understand why you would need a tropical flavored condom. I think maybe I'll do my rants at the very end, so I think I'll save that to the end. So the episode's called "Old Man Yells at Clouds," and you're not actually going to hear my rants till the end of the episode. So, well, got a little bit more info I want to get into. Scientists, again, I'm not a scientist, so I can't refute or say anything different. I'll have to trust them in this part. Scientists say that our solar system is surrounded by a huge magnetic tunnel, and that just seems rather odd to me if that is actually something that is real. I'm not saying it isn't, but if it is, what the hell? Yeah, sorry, my voice is starting to crack a little bit here. Probably a good another 20 minutes left of me. This is going to be about another hour and a half show. Across the Spider-Verse is the name of the sequel to the previous animated Spider-Man multiverse Spider-Verse movie. So now we have the new title. That one's coming out next year, I think. So we got that to look forward to now that all the other MC movies are being shifted now. Rob Zombie, I announced a while back, is doing a movie version of the Munsters. Now, I don't know if he's going to turn it into a Rob Zombie special and have the monsters like killing and torturing people, or it's going to be Rob Zombie doing the Munsters as they were done in the TV show. Don't know. But the first picture of the characters in their outfits appeared. They look good. But again, they're people that Rob's worked with before, including his wife is as the lead actress in that one. And the guy he's worked with a bunch of times in his other horror movies is the Frankenstein one. It's very, very easy to tell. Not the Frankenstein, is the uncle who's the werewolf. It's very easy to tell who it is because he has a very distinct facial features, and that's what it is. Local news, Sinclair Broadcasting, which is affiliated with Fox News and is hugely conservative and stuff like that. I'm not going to really get into political stuff in here, but they suffered a ransomware attack this week. Ransomware seems to be making its way around the area. So far this year, we've had ransomware hit our schools, hit banks, and now hitting TV stations. So that is a problem, and we need to take care of that. The Mandalorian Season 3. It seems like it's been forever since the Mandalorian Season 2, and it has been over a year now. Because I don't think the Mandalorian came out this year. It came out last year. Mandalorian Season 3 is filming presently, so I guess maybe the Ahsoka film is going to wait till they're done before, or TV shows till they're done before they start filming. So good on that. I've been talking about this show for a while, and the fact that it kind of failed is not surprising, but we'll see what happens with it. Why the Last Man, which is a comic that is dying for a TV show if done properly. And finally, after forever, FX did a show of Why the Last Man, a series of about 6 or 7 episodes, whatever, based on the comic. The comic lasted close to 60, 70 some issues. So there's still plenty of story to tell. It won't be on FX because they've canceled the show. Now, that doesn't mean that Amazon, Hulu, Netflix, whatever, Paramount, Peacock, whatever, is not going to pick it up and air it. So still potentially you could see it, but as of now, Why Last Man will not have a second season on FX. Since I don't get the FX streaming, I did not see the first season. I'm intrigued, but it's not the end of the world if I don't see it. Let's talk some football. Football. Let's talk some football. First up, last Sunday, Miami Dolphins faced the Jacksonville Jaguars in London. God, what I'm trying to do your London accent. You're a moron. Anyway, a London fan in a Jaguars uniform came running out onto the field right before kickoff. And all he wanted to do was shake the hands of the football players before the game started. So that's kind of neat. Obviously, the person was, removed from the stadium, but still, he wasn't running around in the nude, which is what usually happens here in America, or just running around on the field anyway and messing around with stuff. So that's what happened there. Closer to home, Lamar Jackson had another stellar game against the Los Angeles Chargers last weekend, blowing them out 34-6, and becoming the youngest quarterback with the most wins before the age of 25, beating Dan Marino. So now he's alone in that. So Lamar Jackson is a Louisville product. And I lost everybody when I started talking about football. Sorry. Is a Louisville product. And Louisville announced that they will be retiring Lamar's jersey number at I think they're probably senior day sometime in November. And of course, Lamar will be there on hand for the ceremony. So that makes the second football player to have their jersey retired at Louisville. The first was a gentleman by the name of Johnny Unitas, who's considered to be one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, and coincidentally was the Baltimore Colts quarterback. So we have the Baltimore Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Colts quarterback Johnny Unitas as the only two football players at Louisville to have their numbers retired. I think Baltimore does pretty good about drafting quarterbacks from Louisville. Not always the case. Chris Redman didn't quite work out, but that's besides the point. Patrick Mahomes, who as early as last year was considered to be one of the greatest players of all time, one of the coolest, nicest guys in the world, just got a huge contract last year, MVP considerations. I think he might have actually won MVP last year. I can't remember who did. Lost in the Super Bowl because his offensive line was trash, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers just ran roughshod over him. So Kansas City went out in the offseason and shored up their offensive line. And Kansas City's terrible this year. And with the big contract and stuff like that, we're starting to see more of his family. Made a story a couple weeks ago when the Chiefs were in Baltimore for Sunday Night Football. And the Ravens pulled out a squeaker win against the Chiefs on that one. Mahomes' brother poured water on a Ravens fan. Never apologized. Last week against Washington, Patrick Mahomes' brother and his fiance, I guess, wife, or maybe his mother, I can't remember, were in Washington, where Washington was going to retire Sean Taylor's number, and they were being disrespectful to Sean Taylor's number on the field or his section or whatever. So they're causing all kinds of ruckus. And then his mom pulls this out of her hat this week. She declares that the interception rules should be changed for quarterbacks after her son threw 2 more picks. He's got a league worst 9 or 10 picks this season so far. And she's screaming that they need to change the interception policy so that her boy will not look like he's a complete moron throwing all these interceptions. To be fair, I can see maybe her point, but in the end, it sort of just looks like somebody whining and saying, my boy is too good to have all these interceptions. So just get rid of them so that it looks like he didn't have any interceptions. It's a sense of entitlement, which I do not like. Now, Mahomes has not come out and decried his brother, his wife, and his mother for any of this stuff. So that's why I'm losing respect for him gradually every week. Plus those goddamn stupid State Farm commercials he does now. Baker Mayfield's commercials are way better than Mahomes's. And I hate Baker Mayfield because he's a Cleveland Browns quarterback, but I can't hate him because these commercials he does for, I guess it's an insurance company as well, are just so amazing. The most recent one was the Halloween one, which I saw this past weekend when I was watching the Ravens game. And there was like, the joke of the Baker Mayfield commercials is that, he lives at Cleveland Stadium. It's so he's they always show it's so you need to have insurance to protect your home, protect your house, as they say in football, you must protect this house, and so they've done stuff where he's been carrying groceries, but he's locked out of because the gate's locked and his keys fall out of his hands, and he's trying to get help and no one's trying to help him. There was one that came out where he learned that he had a bunch of people coming to the game tomorrow, like 50,000 people, and they needed to clean the bathrooms. So he and one lone janitor were cleaning all the bathrooms. And there have been other spectacular ones, phenomenal ones. There was one where he's gossiping with two women who live nearby. That one is hilarious also. And finally, this one for Halloween is trick-or-treating at the stadium, and he's giving out nachos. So he gives the kids nachos, or gives them the tortilla chips, and then pours the nacho cheese sauce on the chips that are in their Halloween bag filled with candy. I'm sorry, it's hilarious. And the other one that I love that they did this year also is the yard sale, where he's selling like all the Browns like uniforms and padding and stuff like that. And one of his linemen says, "What are you selling my pads for?" He says, "Are those my pads?" And Baker's like, "They could be." It's just so Mahomes, the State Farm ones are just so stupid. The Patrick Price, and you just sound really like a whiny little bitch. And then your family is absolutely insane right now. So now with the mom saying, "Oh, you got to change the rules so my son doesn't look as crappy as he is." Look, Mahomes is still a pretty good quarterback, but everybody has these problems. Now, again, as I said, I could see maybe something where one of the interceptions he had last week was it bounced off of a wide receiver's hands. Wide receiver should have had it, so it was a wide receiver's fault because Mahomes threw it perfectly. But it bounced off his hands and into the hands of another person. But they still are going to call it an interception because Mahomes still threw the ball. Something similar happened to Lamar Jackson last week, where he threw the ball to Bateman, our rookie, who was his first game back, and he had a string of 4 straight great catches, which were for first downs. And this one would have been a first down and maybe more, but it bounced off his hands and it fell right into the lap of a Charger. Now, again, it didn't matter because we still blew them out, but still, that was called an interception, a pick for Lamar Jackson. But you don't see Lamar Jackson's mom coming out saying, "You need to make changes to that," because it's part of the game when you move on. Speaking of which, as I said earlier today, the big game tomorrow is the Ravens versus the Bengals. Bengals are 4-2. Ravens are 5-1. The winner of that one takes control of the AFC North. So it's also the Ravens' last home game. Or I should say not home game, their last football game until November, because they are off on Halloween. They have their bye on Halloween, which always seems to be the case, which pisses me off, but that's besides the point. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Is that all the football stuff? Yep. This is just a brilliant story. Absolutely brilliant story here. A teen hacked into a school computer system and played Never Gonna Give You Up, rickrolled everybody across the county who uses these video sort of things. The videos are used for, news and information, stuff like that. It was hacked, and they put Never Gonna Give You Up and Rick Astley dancing up there on the whole thing. So the whole school was rickrolled, and the whole actually county was rickrolled. Uh, I can't read this one. Oh, scientists have injected algae into a tadpole's head. And because of that, the tadpole no longer has to breathe. He is become a photosynthesis creature, much like a plant. So they are the first creature to use photosynthesis to breathe. And it's something they wanted to, I don't know why. Again, scientists know what they're doing. I don't know about that. But apparently, if you can do that for them, you make some changes here, you could maybe inject algae into a human mind and might be able to go underwater, might be able to go into fires because you don't have to breathe, that type of thing. So it's something that could, in the end, be fairly interesting, but still kind of interesting. No, still kind of interesting, but we'll see what happens. It comes to that. Um, Guess what? We talked about the robotic dog creature that's been making the rounds. Well, the government has decided let's put weapons on it now and weaponized a robot dog. Now he's got a sniper rifle on him. So wonderful. Now we have a new weapon that can go and destroy stuff. Sounds like a rant, but it is time for the rants, and then we're going to move on. We got about 4 minutes, going to be a little bit longer than half an hour. Old man yelling at clouds. I went to the grocery store today, and in this case, it's just one grocery store. It's Weiss, which is up the street from me. I probably shouldn't say the name of it because I don't want to get in trouble, but besides the point. They have the new self-scanning thing. They've had that for a couple years now, and I like to do that instead of going through a line because sometimes I just want to get in and out. I worked at a grocery store for a few years when I was in high school, so I know how to scan stuff. When they first got put in, the computer voice, which tells you, explains how to do stuff, insert coins now, or, and then when you scan some says, make sure, how much it is, $2, $10, $15, $50, stuff like that. It tells you how much it is. They also, when they were first put into Weiss, I should say, if you did not put the stuff right away into the bag, if you were taking your time, you scanned it, and then you put in the bag, the voice would come off and say, put your stuff in the bag. Something like that. Not quite that loud. But it's like, please put your item in the bag. And there are other things that it does also. When you're done and you're taking your time getting the bags off of the racks, they'll say, please remove your bags. The self-service machines are way oversensitive. When COVID happened, though, they dialed back on the sensitivity so that it was a lot more like it should be. But then once COVID was done, well, that's not done, but once it became safer to go out, stuff like that, they dialed it back up again. And now it is truly annoying. It has come to the point where I've scanned something and I put it in the bag and they go, put your item in the bag. I've got to the point where it's like I said, I already have. Please remove the item from the bag and make sure you scan it. And yet it shows up as being scanned. Now, I had an issue a few days ago when I had my bad day when I was getting stuff where the weight measure didn't even work. And it said, the wrong weight is put in. You're doing it wrong. Ah, there must be an alarm. So they set flashlights. So the dude who had to come and help me had to stand right by me because every time I scanned it, because there's something wrong with their scale that shows that something was put in the bag, they freaked out and shut down so I couldn't scan anymore. And so we got on this one, and then I could move on. It was a pain in the ass. Now, Weiss is the only place I've seen where something like that has happened. The self-serve area at Target, self-serve area at Giant does not have that issue. I scan, I take my time. It doesn't yell at me to put it in bags or to remove my bags. It just says, boom, you got it in there. That's how much it costs. That's the way it should be, the way it was during COVID. Excuse me. That's how they should have it. Rant number 1 done. Number 2, locally, there's a radio station called Jack FM 102.7. It's the only station that comes in clear at my work. It's their slogan is we play what we want. They play a mixture of 70s, 80s, and 90s songs, and maybe some early 2000s as well. But the problem is they have a strict schedule set. They play the same 500 songs or so over and over again every day, the same songs over and over a day. Now, it might be different times. A good example is the god awful Eagles song Hotel California. Monday, I might have heard it at 2 p.m. Tuesday, I hear it at 9 a.m. Wednesday, I hear it at 3:45 p.m. Thursday, I might not hear it at all, which would be great. Friday, I hear it at 8 a.m. So it's just the way I guess it goes through. It's not, it doesn't have any they don't have DJs, so it's just sort of a computerized thing where they say this is what you're playing, boom. Now they're hugely um built on the 80s. They have the 80s at 8. They have just they tend to play more 80s songs than anybody else, which is fine because I like the 80s, but I kind of want to hear more 90s stuff now. And luckily, they've been getting into more of the 90s stuff. And then there's some 70s stuff, which is okay, I guess. But again, it's the same old songs over and over again. And after a while, it gets boring because, well, they're good songs. They get annoying after a while. And I wish they would just play it different ones. Now, I wish I wouldn't have to listen to it all, but my damn YouTube doesn't work at my work, which plays my playlist. So now I make these playlists and I can't really play them anywhere except when I'm making dinner, which is bullshit. But that's besides the point. But my rant about Jack FM is that there have been a number of songs, as I said, they play them every day, which I guess I would call the radio edits. Now, I have no problem with radio edits per se when it comes to the fact that they have to bleep out or change curse words. That's understandable. I worked at a radio station. I was a DJ in college. I had to sign before I was able to go on air. I had to sign a contract with the FCC saying I will not play these specific words. If they're in the song, I'd have to bleep them out, which I did. I missed one or two before, but that happens because they come up so fast and I forget that they were in the song. Now, in this case, what I talk about radio edits is that they've edited the songs terribly. A couple examples. Thriller, great song. It's one I could actually hear probably every day if need be, and I usually do. And particularly around this time of the year, Thriller is a great Halloween song. It's up there in my Halloween playlist. One of the best parts of Thriller is when Vincent Price comes on and does what he calls his rap. It's great. It's fantastic. You hear Vincent Price's voice. It's creepy. The song is creepy. It's a Halloween vibe. But recently, and Jack FM had been playing the rap recently, but as of I guess I noticed it. I guess last year, late last year, early this year, I noticed that now when Vincent Price's rap is supposed to be on, there's nothing but the music. While Vincent Price is rapping, you hear Michael Jackson go, "Oh yeah, yeah," or "Woohoo," or "Yeah, yeah." Instead, and then the music, the music as he's rapping is playing. The Thriller song is playing. The music portion of it is playing while he's rapping. All you hear now is the music version of it, and Michael Jackson go, "Yeah, yeah, he," instead of the actual rap. That pissed me off. Billy Joel's "Piano Man," one of the great storytelling songs of all time. They remove half the story. They go, some Bill at the bar was a friend of mine. No, not Bill. Joe at the bar, Phil, whatever. I forget the name of the bartender's name, was a friend of mine. But he's quick with a joke and light up your smoke, but someplace he'd rather be. And then it goes on to explain where he'd rather be. It's like, Bill, I knew I could be a film star. This is killing me. And he goes on to a little bit of a storyline. They've edited that part out and have gone right to the waitress is practicing politics and as the business slowly gets stoned. So they cut out that whole bit about the bartenders, why what is this place he'd rather be. They'd had played it before and now they edited it out. Now they need to edit for time. Okay, I get it. But it's a small snippet. It only saves you maybe about 20, 30 seconds. And I guess maybe in the radio world, that's something you need. And it's similar to also Let's Go Crazy by Prince. The Dearly Beloved, we're gathered here today to talk about this thing called life. And there's a whole bit that he does before the song starts. They've edited all that out also. They said that part, Dilly Blood, we're here to talk about life. Let's go crazy. There's a whole bit in there. They've eliminated that way. So they deleted all that out. So that's pissing me off a little bit. So I understand maybe it's for timing purposes, but you don't edit these types of songs. If you play these songs, fit it into your schedule. Have someone there to change up the music. If you need to change up some stuff, remove some damn songs you play around. I don't want to hear Sweet Home Alabama ever again. I don't want to hear you know the goddamn Kid Rock summer song, which they play all the freaking time, which I absolutely despise. I don't hear that anymore. I don't want to hear Hotel California by the Eagles anymore. And there's a few other ones in there that I cringe every time I hear it, and I want to ignore it. To get rid of those, restore the stuff. And there's also another one. It was the We Built This City on Rock and Roll. There's a bit where you hear a radio DJ talking about something from San Francisco. They deleted that aspect out of it as well. Restore all that stuff and play the songs that originally were supposed to be played. And you've been doing a better job of this. I'll give you that credit. I'll give you credit for that, Jack FM. You've been playing more 90s songs now, and you've been changing up some of your 80s stuff. You're still playing some of the same goddamn songs over and over again, but at least you're changing up some stuff now to make it a little bit more interesting. So that's kind of good. So I'll give you that. They've been playing what is that Twisted Sister song? What do you do? I want to rock. Dun, 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 dun. No, it's not that one. It's what do you do with your life? No, I forget what song. But anyway, they've made some changes up there, which is good. Finally, before we finish up today's episode, my final rant for today. For those who've been following the show over the last 8 years, you know I have an issue with people who are parking in front of my house and in my parking areas. We have white lines that, to be fair, need to be repainted, but that's the HOA's job, and they're not fucking doing their job. But they need to be repainted, which shows you where you park your car. They're faded, but you can still see them. And parking's at a premium in our area. Plus, the fact is, when I moved in back in 2004, they said you can only really have 2 cars. Anything other than that, you've got to put, if you have more than 2 cars, you've got to get rid of them, park them somewhere else. But no, our neighbors, see, that's the front of the house. No, it's over there. Our neighbors over there. Yes, because that's the front of the house. Our neighbors over there have 4 cars and then some. Our neighbors over there have like 3 or 4 cars as well, and they park in all the spots. So my wife and I don't have our spots, or we don't get to park in the spots that are front. Now we don't have parking for just for us. It's free for all parking, but it's a given that you park in front of your house. And I don't understand why these people don't park in front of their house. They park in front of my house. Park in front of your fucking house. Your house is right there. Get out of your car and walk straight. Instead of parking in front of my house, walking out there, and then having to walk up to your house. Park in front of your fucking house. And then, these assholes, they they back in to the parking spots. Why the fuck do you need to park it? Back into your parking spots. So people are driving down the road. They stop in the middle of the road, and then they got to turn everything to go that way. First of all, if you're not good at it, you're not going to park between the fucking lines, which you don't need to do anyway. People don't park, they park on the fucking lines, which takes out 2 parking spots now. These assholes can't even do that sometimes. Sometimes they get it right, but why the hell do I need to stop and wait for your ass to back into a spot when you just pull your goddamn car in front first? It takes 1 second to do that. This takes 5, 20, 30 seconds to do if you do it right. And what if you're backing in and my other car happens to be there? What if you nick my car because you can't back in properly? I fucking despise people who back in. I don't understand why you do that. Finally, also in that same area, we have an area behind where our parking spots are, which is an area that has a sign that says no parking anytime. And people park there all the time. You want to know why you don't want to park there? Is because the road is so narrow that when I'm pulling out, I have to stop halfway, because if I go any further, I'm going to hit your car. So now I got to do a fucking 7, 10, 20, 50-point turn to get the fuck out of my parking spot. Meanwhile, I got cars coming at me, running down the road, like, ah! And then they got to stop. So that got me more heated than I wanted it to. But I'm yelling at you, and I'm yelling at you because you're the fuckers who do that shit. I'm okay. Got that out of my system. So I am done. So I am done for this week. It is the 23rd/24th. It is now the 24th. It's United Nations Day. But what do we got going next week? Well, next weekend is Halloween weekend. And I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to do this, but I think I figured it out. Saturday night, the 30th, I'll do my regular show, episode 415. I'll do my regular show, talk about what's coming up this week, the whole Facebook name change, anything else that pops up during this week. I'll let you know about it. And I'm thinking, and I thought about this at work this past week, I think I want to do a Halloween-centric episode on Halloween. Now, the Ravens have a bye week on the 31st. I'll be able to do my Halloween show on Sunday afternoon around 1 o'clock, like I used to do my show all the time, 12, 1 o'clock is when I used to do my show. And I still do it periodically around those times as well. So I'll be able to do that then. So right now I'm thinking about maybe dropping 2 episodes next week. One regular episode of Dylan Knows, just talking about what's going on this past week. And then Sunday, which is Halloween, before the Halloween festivities begin, which is around 4 or 5 o'clock at night, doing my show 12, 1 o'clock on Sunday, and doing a special show about Halloween. I have another one of these sheets like this, which has all the ideas I have. It'll be a lot of top 10 lists, like top 10 horror movies, creatures, movie reviews, book reviews, supernatural stuff, music, costumes, how I celebrate Halloween, experiences I've had on Halloween, including one highly personal one, which I probably will talk about. And if you've seen the show, you know what it is I'm already talking about. But I'll reiterate that again next week. So looks like 2 episodes next week if all goes according to plan. Saturday the 30th, sometime around this time, probably later because the kids will be home and they'll stay up till like 11 o'clock and shower also. So it might be later at night, but it'll be around this time on the 30th. And then doing a Halloween special on Halloween itself. So we'll see how that works out. But for now, we'll catch you back next week and make it 2 episodes out of me. So yay. So enjoy the rest of your weekend. It is Halloween week now, ladies and gentlemen, 7 days. So watch that Ring video and you're going to die on Halloween if you watch it tonight. Plus, we might have some news about my stepbrother's child, who was due this week but is running a little late. So might be a step uncle. We'll talk a little bit about that too, if that indeed does happen this week. So thanks for watching, and keep getting good and get your costumes ready. Get excited for Halloween. It's coming 7 days from today. So 7 days to Halloween. Enjoy.